report for December 18th, 2023. And I have to preface, and I don't know if it's an apology or not, just a notice. I like to keep the last meeting of the year light. But this one's pretty big. So, I apologize in advance for that. So we'll do roll call. Miguel Martinez, myself.
Willie Blanco, Stephen Herzberg, John Schrader,
Francesca Ortega.
Angelo Garcia.
All right, so we're missing Angel and Juan.
Yeah, they're both traveling, but we're good. That's cool.
Okay, so we have Juan. So any deferrals, additions, and deletions?
I think if we have time, I just wanted to bring the final expenses for the trip in November, so we know for sure how much money we have left.
Okay.
Another thing, I think only, you submitted your reimbursement request. If anyone else has any, I did as well. If
Yeah.
anyone else has any
I've done a couple
reimbursements?
meals.
So, then I think we're good on, that should be.
You
fine.
will be,
No, it's-
no?
You won't pay for it anyway.
All right, we're good, yeah, I think we're okay then.
So we're just staying with.
We're saying, yeah, I think you guys agree with the reimbursements?
Losing service members.
So we're pretty good then. We're under, the town didn't spend any money on the materials, right?
No, because we printed those out.
So we were under budget. We got plenty of money left,
Nice.
to
Took out a party.
another trip or two, honestly. We probably have enough for a two, if we keep it to 4.
All right. I think that was pretty productive.
Yep.
Angelo, did you post out something else or was it agenda?
It was just agenda.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure I had it for the record.
All right. So that's item number 3.
Yeah, I'll bring it up in open session if we have time. We can wait, but I think it's important that we know it's to the penny. Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna put public comments. I want to make mention, Thomas Alcala is here from the mayor's office. Thank you, and those attendants, thank you. I know, Thomas, you had mentioned that you're kind of double booked today, with some pressing matters.
Yeah. The most important. Well, I'll be brief and just as just want to provide some background. So first of all, good evening, board members and residents of Tomas Alcala, Intergovernmental Affairs Director for Mayor Living Cava's office. I think most of you have the history, but just as a quick way of background. So the mayor has recently participated in 2 town halls in the region. It first came about because residents had asked her to come in and hear concerns, I know led by Abel Fernandez, who we all know. And so she wanted to be responsive to that request. And so we had a town hall earlier this year. And at that town hall, several residents raised specific questions, issues, requests of the mayor. And the mayor made a commitment then and there to look into anything that the county has some ability to investigate. And so at this last town hall meeting, she kind of reported out on what some of the findings were, and look, at the crux of it, at the end of the day, that this is ultimately a state issue. We really do have our hands cuffed at the county as far as our ability to affect change, and our county attorneys have advised us that that there is not a pathway to a legal challenge. But I think one of the positives from that meeting that came out is, of course, that Senator Garcia has indicated that he'd be sponsoring a resolution in support of legislation that Representative Fabricio and Senator Alde have filed for some time. And so that really opens the door for the county to lend our voice as far as the advocacy is concerned at the state level. And so I do think that's a positive. And so I wanted to be here today, one, just to answer any questions or concerns with some specific information that may have been shared at the town hall, but just also, want to open the lines of communication. As Miguel noted that I am double booked. My girlfriend is hosting her first holiday party at her new firm, and so she was not very pleased that I had another engagement tonight, but I did make a commitment to be here, and so I wanted to, at least while the time that I'm here, if we don't have a chance to answer the questions directly, I want to exchange my information to you folks and be a resource moving forward. I have had a meeting with Miguel and Abel and Stephen and Hope after the town hall to discuss kind of some of that information, and there were some follow-up questions that were raised as far as different legal pathways here, and so it's my intention to follow up and get to those answers specifically. And, just continue the conversation, and I think that we at the county and the mayor want to be an honest broker in this situation. We're not, trying to hide anything. We want to be, as transparent as possible, and to the extent that there are things that we can do or questions that we can answer, we will, and I'll be here throughout this process, and so if anyone wants to connect with me afterwards, feel free to do so, but just wanted to share that message.
Hey, through the chair, something came out to my brain here. Maybe through them, through the county, they might be able to get us a meeting with this minor.
The miners are a private entity and they do not want to interact with us, period, as they say. So I doubt it. Tomas, I will say, I hope that asked me to respond, to give my thoughts, if you will, for what the mayor presented. I have them with me and I'm gonna read them into record.
Yeah.
And I mean, you won't be here. I understand you need to go. But I'll send them to you, and I think it's there's some other avenues that can be entertained, and I think things that haven't been thought of. So we need to get creative and how things are addressed. And so just giving you a heads up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as I told you before, I appreciate what you guys do and have done. We need to be more aggressive on this. I'm saying this on the record, but and we'll get into that in a timely fashion. You wanted to say something? I thought I saw a hand come up.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I just saw it in the corner of my eyes.
Hello.
But we have some new faces though, so welcome. And you wanna say anything?
My name is Karina, and this is my mother Shelley. We've lived in Miami Lakes for 30 plus years. And just have recently noticed that the blasting has become a lot more active during the day, and we're seeing a lot more damage to our properties now. And I have not been able to attend any of the meetings before, so now that I have the ability to do so, I wanted to come and see what they were all about, see how I can try to get more involved and just kind of see what the discussion and the talk is and where we stand today.
You've decided to come at a pivotal
I
moment.
see that.
Because we got a hot potato going.
I'm also in law school and studying for the bar, so.
I can know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of fitting in, a reason why I decided to try to get more active in it, and just.
And I'm home all day and I pretty much, there's been some damage caused by the blasts. Within my house, within the structure of the house. And I've actually started, so much that I started writing down the date in the times that I've been, because I have a china cabinet in my room. With my trinkets, my glass trinkets, collectibles. And the blasts are so bad one day that one of my trinkets fell off the shelf from the china cabinet. And two sides of my doors have glass. One side was shattered. Because the glass literally came to the end and fell into the glass of the door. So that's why we're here. I have cracks in the back patio, through the tile.
Yeah, just the damage to the house is getting to be more than it was, and the blasts are getting stronger and more frequent, so we were like, okay, let's.
Are you guys on the west side or east side?
We are on the west side of Palmetto. We're
Right across from Veterans Park.
Okay.
Oh, which one are the neighborhoods?
Alexander.
Oh,
Thanks for the medal.
Alexander, Lakeland Ellen.
Okay.
Already.
So you're very close,
Yeah,
so you know exactly.
very much so.
One thing that, because Francesca's biting her tongue right now, holding back. Francesca has spearheaded a campaign for marketing. It is her background. So each of us, we've been using the strengths of each person's background to strengthen this committee. Francesca is in marketing and has been I guess, you want to use yourself to.
Yeah.
I go to that
You're
one.
doing such a good job.
I'm chairing the marketing committee, for lack of a better term, so it's in these terms. And we are trying to recruit residents of the community to really highlight your stories and just share the damages as well as your testimonials and how in all the years that you've lived here, how things have changed. So if we can, talk a little later, I really appreciate this, and I'd love to swing by and meet with you guys.
Sure.
And one more thing, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
The best thing, one of the best things you guys can do is to talk to your neighbors and friends. And we'll provide some more information at the after meeting on what you can do, but ultimately, we need as much support from local residents as possible. I've said it before, it's sort of like a virus, right? You tell some people and it spreads and spreads, and the more people you tell 2 people, they're gonna tell 4 people, so it's important that whoever you take from today, come speak with us. We do enjoy sharing the knowledge, I guess. Unfortunately, we have to share this knowledge.
Yeah.
But it's important that we get as many people as possible, be aware and participate. So again, thank you for coming. That's a huge participation just on its own.
It's the most important investment of your life, right?
Yeah.
Your home.
Yeah, because I sometimes feel like my home one day is gonna fall into the lake.
Right.
Literally, because we live, well, we all live on the lake in there. But, I mean, I fear one day it's just.
Are you aware of
one
the-
glass is just gonna.
The
throw the house
Huntington
down.
Valley Program's website and where you can file the complaints to the state.
I think we have that information.
It's pertinent. The state claimed to our lovely mayor, from Dade County, that there isn't enough complaints on that.
Okay.
So we're reaching 10,000 complaints on it. It's apparently not enough.
And that's another effort that we're also trying to push. So like in talking with your neighbors, also encourage them to report the blast, because now, since we've had such an exponential growth in working from home,
Right.
it's also different and it's increased the awareness. Because before, you would leave your house at 8, 7, whatever in the morning, come back at 6 o'clock when the blast would happen in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even know, but
Yeah.
now it's all more real because you're there and you're experiencing it every day. So yeah, we'll talk about all that.
Yeah.
That was one of the benefits of the pandemic. You got
Yeah.
to understand blasting.
Yeah.
So my public comment is today I was standing outside, cleaning all the debris from all this rain, etc. And many of the property owners just literally conducted a meeting in my driveway asking me all about blasting. And so it's really interesting because they said, why has it gotten so bad in the last few years old? And it was because through one of the write-ups of Miguel, who is the guru of this group, I realized that the miners were not given the license until 80 something. And we bought the homes 40 years ago in 1981. So at first we had no clue. And in conversation with them, I realized at the time we had a crack in the back of our house and literally had some intrusion of water into one of the bedrooms. Was a year after the miners had, but I could have never connected the story, if not because we keep on delving deeper and deeper.
Yes.
But I want you to know that through LinkedIn, I don't know if you're on LinkedIn, I would love for you to also connect. We have created a group and we're trying to create that group as a repository of all of the documents, just so if you ever want to know anything, particularly write-ups of the intelligence of this group, there you will find all of the details.
Okay.
So I'm on LinkedIn, I'm Hope Reynolds.
Okay.
So,
Oh, you know, my mom is Jimmy White.
there you go, Jimmy White and
I know you know him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm Hope Reynolds and my phone number is 305-608-8788. I'd be more than happy to, all right, and we'll talk and we'll connect.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything else you want to? We have a
No,
representative from
basically,
state representative.
Adding to what Tomas said, we have 6 bills submitted for the 2024 sessions, which starts January 9th. And of course, the number 1 bill is the blasting bill. So I understand we went to Tallahassee and spoke with several members of the committee. So let's hope that we can make some progress this coming week.
I think it's safe to mention about Sirloin.
Yeah, I was gonna forget, yeah.
The chair of the subcommittee, of the first subcommittee that will be hearing Fabrizio's bill, advised us that he is doing everything possible to get it on his agenda.
Yes.
And when he does so, he wants a hearing and has requested us to go up to Tallahassee to testify at that hearing.
Correct.
So to please, I mean, obviously, we're on contact all the time.
Yes.
Keep it in mind, keep a lookout for that. If once that happens, let us know so we can.
There's, absolutely. So to follow up on that, maybe it's a request that we can give it to the lobbyists. They have different tools, much more sophisticated tools, but I think we can set it up ourselves, but especially from the lobbyists, they can get alerts on
Yeah, they'll know before.
on the bills. They'll know before almost anybody. So if they could be on top of, which I hope they already are, and I'm sure they are, they can be on top of Representative Fabricio's bills. So then they can potentially give us the first alert that a hearing has been set, it's been put on an agenda. That would help us a lot
Yeah,
because
so you want a motion?
I think, I don't know, that's just a request for the town to reach out to lobbyists. If you can do that, and then, what that does is, if there's a hearing, there's not gonna be time to hold a meeting in all likelihood.
Right.
It's just gonna be, look, we just gotta go to Tallahassee, and that's it. Right? So hopefully the schedule isn't too bad and a lot of us.
I'm calling in sick that day.
and we'll figure it out from there, but I don't believe we'll have a lot of lead time if there is a hearing, which hopefully there is. I know the representative stated that on Sunday, he's hopeful they'll have a hearing this year and things like that. We'll see, but that's just something that we need as much lead time as possible.
Right.
It's literally just telling people we gotta go to Tallahassee tomorrow or 2 days later.
All right, anything else? Okay,
I'll reach over and
so good, so we'll close, public comments. Adoption of minutes, any comments for the previous minutes?
fine. We discussed a lot of stuff, so I put a little bit, maybe a little bit more detail than I usually do, but I think you're good. Just let me know. I will.
All right, second, anybody second?
Second.
All in favor? Right, so old business, marketing efforts. Although we already touched on quite a bit, you want to give us an update of the,
Okay. Want to do a quick update? Cool. Okay, we'll put up the video so that everybody can see. We had, a resident of PSN say, it was, ended up being like a 2-minute video where she highlighted her testimonial, how blasting has affected her property, how things started and, you know, where they are now. It's the first person who's come forward to volunteer for something like this, so I wanted to kind of show it. Yeah, you can say it too. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cindy. I'm going to take you through some of the damages that have been done to our home caused by the blasting. You'll see a lot of the cracks, you'll see some water damage, and that has also caused some mold issues, which is a hazard for our daughter's health, especially because they are both asthmatic. So there are some very concerning things that are happening, all caused due to the blasting. So we purchased this home in 2012, and at that time, the floor was pretty leveled around here, pretty straight. Now, many years later, of course, each year it gets worse. But there are pavers that are several inches off from the level of where it should be. As you can probably see behind me. So anytime that we are out here with our children, when we have parties, get-togethers, there are constantly people tripping. We've had several accidents with kids that doesn't end up turning out very nice, but you can see the hazard that this has created. That pool deck over there has caved in a few times. We taped it. Now it's a little bit more level. But you can see where this side of the pool is pretty lifted and that side is further down into the ground. And there's just, you know, all the damage that has been created by the blasting that happens way too often at a very, very intense level. As a member here of the Palm Springs North community and the surrounding communities, I do encourage anyone who lives in this area who has been affected by the blasting to speak up, to voice your concerns. There are some major problems that are happening not only to our homes, but to our own health. And I think it is of utmost value for everyone to come together, because together as, you know, multiple voices, we will be heard and hopefully bring a stop to the blasting that's happening in this area and to the damages that are being done to our homes and to our families.
Yeah, that was, you know, our first, obviously, we, will learn and build and make them better. But we appreciate that residents' involvement, and this is the video that I kind of was alluding to previously. So one of the main purposes in increasing awareness, for everything we're doing is to increase awareness within the community, right? We also want to increase the people reporting on a daily basis when blasts do happen. Like, I was home the other day and the blast was so strong, I had a picture that fell off the wall, you know, so I went in there, I reported it. But I'm only one person, so it's really important to have more people do that to increase those numbers. And then we also want to increase our exposure to HOAs. That's something that we haven't tapped into yet. But we definitely want to do that. And the way of doing that is through residents that connect us with the right people and the right channels to ensure that we, you know, participate more. I mean, there's only so much we could do. We need buy-in from the residents of the community to report the blasts on a daily basis when they happen, and when they're experienced at higher than normal levels, right? So, another thing, that I wanted to bring to the attention of the board is that I have availability Friday from 11 to 3. So, there's a couple members that have sent like nominations of people that might be available during that time slot. So if you think of anyone else, this Friday, I'm open 11 to 3. So if you have a family member or somebody who's available at 11 o'clock, send an email to Al, she'll forward it over to me and I'll go straight there. My goal is to schedule appointments back to back. Depending on the person, it can take anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, obviously depending on how natural they are on camera. This person was really, really good in front of camera. So it took just a couple takes and it was perfect. So depending on the person, I'll kind of adjust my expectations of the video. If they feel more comfortable doing the voiceover, then I'll just record the home, do the voiceover if they're more comfortable that way. And we can kind of pick and choose based on the person and what their comfort level is in front of the camera. We can even do an interview style if the person is more comfortable doing it that way as well. So again, have anyone, please book me from 11 to 3. I'll be available to do that. And I also started an Instagram page outside of the board, but just to make everyone aware. It's called Blasting Damages South Florida. So if you can follow, go on there. We'll be providing updates. I have not on Instagram. It's supposed to work in conjunction to Hope.
But she could advertise it, you could send it out.
Next time you send one of your communications, once you're outside of Google Jet. Because right now you're on timeout.
So can I ask a question when you talk about HOAs and wanting to connect with HOAs, exactly what is your goal? Like, do you want to attend an HOA meeting? Do you want to?
So I'm open to all of the above. Primarily, it's an easier way to increase awareness to a lot of people at once.
Do you ride bikes?
No,
Do you walk?
yes.
Okay, because he toured our neighborhood one time with us on a bicycle, which makes it a little easier. I'm a little
Right.
too old to like be walking up, but I have a tricycle.
Okay.
And that we can carry the camera and all that, because what I would love for you to see is the damage that it's all outside. You
Throughout
can
the community.
actually
Oh, yeah.
look at it. You know, we have a driveway that is,
A wall.
and every time I tell
Walls
the
are
person,
cracking.
you need to do something about that, they go, no, that's on the approach, let the town figure it out, because they don't do anything about blasting. I'm not spending any more money, and I can understand that.
Yes. As a resident, I understand the position. When they start expressing themselves that way, I get it. Because, you know, our homes are something that is our most valuable asset for most families, right? So it's something that we want to protect and cherish. But absolutely, if there is an opportunity to do that and we can communicate outside of the meeting, and I'm willing and able, all things, I'm very flexible.
That's a good point, sort of like making some B-roll. I guess.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
B-roll.
B-roll footage.
You show not necessarily someone speaking about specific damage, you just show other general damages.
Right,
That I pass by it all the time, that pillar on in Borough Oaks East that's going the opposite way of the building, whatever it is. I mean, there's all over town. They recently repainted a lot of the boundary walls in 87th Avenue, but
Yeah.
before they painted them, you just saw step crack there, especially.
Destroy that wall.
Destroyed, that wall is,
Destroyed.
that wall is, the hurricane comes, that wall's going down.
That's going down.
So now it's just hidden because they repainted it.
of course.
But maybe some B-roll might make sense as well. I don't know, maybe it won't, maybe it will, but it's good to have the footage anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Always
Document.
the one-on-one videos, like the example that we use with this resident, I'll be using on. Oh, like, am I hearing things? I'll be using as an example for social media and stuff, but I also plan to put together like a compilation of a lot of different property damages and resident testimonials for the board to take up to Tallahassee when they go see lobbyists and elected officials up there. Because the visual of damages is just obviously substantial to anything you can say verbally and explain, right? So in order for me to accomplish that, I also need more residents. And if I'm standing in an HOA meeting with 20, 30 residents, even if I only get one or two to say yes, that's still more than what I'm getting, you know, at a one-on-one level. So any exposure is welcome. Any recommendations are welcome. You guys can feel free to reach out to me, and I'd love to do that in your community and in any other community as well, because it's more impactful to see the damages on an entire community than it is in one home. I mean, in one home, it's crazy. You can see how her pool deck is completely disleveled, caving in. I mean, when I was recording the video, I tripped because of the unleveled surfaces. So I would love to do it in a community like that. That would be super impressive.
Yeah, if you look at the Miami Laker, the dates when every HOA meets, it's actually available. They actually tell you they do every Tuesday or whatever. So what I did a long time ago, actually, literally, I went to each one of the communities throughout all of Miami Lakes and introduced myself as to what we were trying to do in our community, just because that creates a certain, I don't even know how to say, all of us are in the same book kind of feeling. Yeah, so that would be.
Well,
an idea.
every HOA is different and some are public like that, but I was trying to get some in Miramar, because Riviera, Island and
that's
Nautica are experiencing like severe damages from blasting.
Yeah.
And you have to be approved to be able to speak in one of their meetings. So I'm having, I'm working
Yeah,
with
by
a
the law.
resident there.
Because in public comments, you can certainly speak anywhere, but okay.
Yeah, but I would like to do it through more, you know,
To add on that, I think it was, Councilman Diegas at the meeting discussed incorporated HOA. So we, obviously, the town has the contacts for all the town HOAs. And we've used that before for email flyers. We've given them to the HOAs, we've asked the HOA to blast them. A lot of the HOAs are actually managed by the same company, if they're managed by an HOA.
Yeah.
But what we do want to have some ideas on, maybe we have to reach out to Senator Garcia's office, but a role of HOAs in the PSN, Miami Gardens, Country Club area, because while this is the Miami Lakes Blasting Advisory Board, for better or for worse, we're the blasting advisory board for all of South Florida.
So let me give you one more tip. Miami-Dade County actually opened up enforces all of the HOAs now to report. And so you have to go to a website, and I'll send you the link, and there you have the names of everyone that is in the HOA. You have the contact information, you have their documents, because Miami-Dade County is working very hard to ensure certain transparency and fiduciary responsibility, because the HOAs have gone wild in our
of
area.
course, yeah. HOAs are a whole separate topic of controversy. We're not gonna talk about that.
But yeah, it's also meeting with them too. I know Miguel's done that on many occasions. But for me, one of the things I want, and thank you for that, if we can send that from that, is getting in touch with HOAs outside of Miami Lakes, and you don't have their emails and contact information. So we can start our marketing efforts have done. Because again, we're only that town, but in reality, we spoke about this in Tallahassee, we're speaking for over 100,000 people at this point. And more, and more, and more, and more, and grow, and more.
And in the material that we take to Tallahassee, I want to illustrate diversity. I want to illustrate a home in Miami, a home in Miramar, a home in Pembroke Pines, a home in PSN, unincorporated date, because I want to illustrate, look at the range, look at the distance, and there's damages caused throughout, you know? So, you know, I'd love to do that, in Miami Lake specifically, but I want to increase the awareness to a much broader area as well.
I could be wrong, but I think that wave has reached the cemetery, based on Memorial.
It absolutely has, yes.
And it has a lot of cracks in all of the buildings, so.
Right,
That's
and if we can recruit a business, so we focus a lot on residences, right, because everyone here owns a home. But if anyone that's here right now has any type of connection with a business that can also do the same, that would also carry a lot of weight, right? Because if you are a business and your day-to-day operation is being affected because there's cracks all over the, you know, the buildings that hold like the tombs, those things are what, like 2 stories high, 3 stories high? If we could show step cracks, and I don't have any connections in Vista Memorial, but like if you do, I'm more than willing to meet with them as well. We're not limiting to only residents.
Like any information we can go in there, we need no permission to go on the cemetery.
Yes, quick question, you were talking about the general area that's affected by the blasting. Is there a specific area, of course, the citizens or constituents have to come forward and say it, but is there a specific area that has more damage than other areas?
Generically speaking, it's a concentration and pans out. So it's not a specific area, it's a distance. And it is a commonality in your diameter or your radiuses from that epicenter, of damages. Now, Hialeah Gardens is another animal, because Hialeah Gardens has been subjected to blasting on both sides now, and for much longer time. Because they have cements on the south with White Rock on the north. So, Hialeah Gardens, if you look at the damages there, you'll see what PSN is going through. And PSN, the yards are sinking. And Miami Lakes now, this area is starting, I'm seeing the damage, it's happening here, it's an evolution, because this is further out, it took much longer. But we're seeing the damages here, exactly what happened in PSN and in Hialeah Gardens. Hialeah Gardens building and zoning was condemned. I have photographs that I took a ruler and I stuck it in a crack and I knocked on the drywall inside I was in the parking lot. They knocked the building down completely. And if you go to the townhouses in there, the driveways, all the front yards, everything has sunken. The reason is that under Florida Building Code, the perimeter of your boundary of your buildable area has to be demucked properly and rebuilt, repadded. It's called the lifts, where you fill and compact, and you do it in 12-inch increments. And that's the reason why your house is more stable than our driveways. And the ground outside past the house, the perimeter of the house has sunken, and then gets restabilized where the street is and the sidewalk, because that has a road bed in it to support it. So this is the reason why our houses have a huge dip. My driveway alone is now collecting water from the street. It's lower than the street.
Yeah.
It's actually dipped 18 inches. It's a paver driveway, which was an upgrade back in the day, and now it's my nemesis.
One more thing, as you may know, we do a structural inspection of the facility or structure. Anything larger than 1/8 of an inch is considered structural damage.
Correct.
So if you see anything about, because sometimes you have the hairline that cracks, but those might be the settlement cracks, but they don't damage the building. Anything over 1/8 of an inch. So
We had, so you guys know, we had in February, I think it was, a presentation by a professor out of UM who studies stratum movement via satellite imagery. And through a mutual connection of mine, contacted him and asked him to look at this area. He sent the letter to Mayor Sid and Mayor Messam regarding it and his findings. And just coincidentally, one of the properties he looked at was my office building. And my office building, I'm the president of the HOA there, and we had over $11,000 in water bill one time. And couldn't find it. We had a water pipe rupture other occasion. And it turns out, under his satellite imagery, my building has moved 7/8 of an inch to the east. The building's 13 years old. It's not old, it's not old code, and it's built like a brick house, literally. I mean, it's solid concrete to double T's and concrete floors. To move a structure that magnitude, I asked them, what else can it be? Because the only thing that can move it is seismic energy. The Home Depot on Miramar Parkway has moved 1 inch to the north. This is real stuff, and it's being seen, and he's working with the University of Miami, FAU, and University of South Florida. So they're actually applying for grants to be able to investigate this further. It's real. It's real. All right,
Well, the Home Depot has moved 1 inch to the north.
so no.
We have to change your dresses.
There we go. I'm gonna be heading out, but I'm gonna leave my cards here in case anyone wants to reach out. I'm sure if anyone else needs information, they go.
We're gonna talk about you now, so.
There we go.
But I'm sure we'll stay in touch on the recording.
And we'll send you the link to this video and I'll tell you exactly where it is that we talked about it.
And again, I know that my time is limited this time, but I'm happy to stay for the elongated period of time for the next meeting and talk it through. I'm always here, so.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
Be good.
All right, before we get into the crux, I guess we should lighten it up a little bit. Well, appreciation for you guys.
So this.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, pretty.
That'll be.
Thank you. Thank you.
Candy. I've always loved candy, chocolate.
I do appreciate you.
Yeah, he always does that every year.
Yeah.
Nice.
Poster,
Not
poster.
that I advocate heavy drinking, but I
Drinking.
may need it.
Big jugglers. Can I give you the contact by your work? Thank you.
Where does this one go? Everybody's got, yeah, one. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got one more?
That's all.
Yeah.
Wheelchair? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Many thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This is
My
great.
God,
So it's appreciative, we're in this together.
a lot of work.
It's
Now-
beautiful.
I wanted to read, Julie Jones is the lieutenant CFO. And so you guys understand, the state fire marshal and the chief financial officer, it's the same person, it's one and the same. It's all happening. The state fire marshal's in charge of establishing regulations for blasting. They're in charge. To Florida statute 55230 states it. We requested to meet with him directly. We met with him last year, very short, meeting. And this year they allowed us to meet with the lieutenant CFO, Julie Jones, which we also met with last year, and we did a follow-up this time. She brought in with John Gatlin, who's a supervisor of the Miami-Dade pilot program. I had met with John Gatlin prior, and I had requested also to meet with, to bring to that meeting the director of the program. The previous director resigned, Chris Colson. He had resigned, and they have a new director. I don't know the gentleman, but I requested to meet with him as well, but nothing. So afterwards, after when we returned, I sent Julie Jones an email. And in it is the part of the agenda. Is I want this body to advise me, or we should come up with to respond to this gentleman. And I'll read you the thread, so we have it in record. I would like to personally, this to Julie Jones, I'd like to personally take the time, I would take the time to personally thank you for meeting with us. The representative of the Miami Lakes Advisory Board last week, as we made it abundantly clear, we're being subjected to a serious dilemma. The structural integrity of our properties is in jeopardy and can no longer sustain the design loads that are constructed under the Florida Building Code. Seismic damage is being felt and witnessed throughout the affected area, irrelevant to the property age, building code, or builder. I state that because it is one of the defenses that the miners use to Tallahassee. Before us going, they would get a complaint here and there, and the reply, they would address it with the miners, and miners immediately say, well, that's builder's error. It's cheap construction, building code, it's everybody else to blame. And I got on their own website, it says slamming doors causes more energy than their energy waste. You can see it on their Q&A website. So I'm very cautious and clear to reiterate the points that they're stating that they're false. So please be advised on October 20th. Now, under the Miami-Dade pilot program, that is now evidence that the state is recording through a third party, unbiased, and posting their findings, their readings. The program assigned 24 seismographs across the county. 25 seismographs, but only 21 were actually installed. So there's actually a deficit in installations. And because of that, there's a little bit of money extra over that can be used to purchase more data and different things. So what Chris Colson had created, the previous director, was a website, which is now live. And if you file your complaint, you will then get a complaint number, and you could see your complaint and link it, and it'll show you where the blast was and give you the information of that blast. The information of the blast will show the official data, which is the miner's version of the blast, their report. It'll be appeared on the top as like a header. But if you go to the right of that top, you'll see another button, which is the Miami-Dade pilot program's data. And it'll give you their report, and you can compare the two. Now, the issue that we're facing is that, again, so you understand, is that seismic energy is a sine curve. And what's required by law and the statute for the miners is a single seismograph installation. That's the official machine. Years ago, they presented here in town hall, it was discovered that that seismograph, that the miners were hiring the same entity that they hired to monitor, was also renting inside their office. So it's kind of like a conflict of interest. And it was also discovered that the only entity that is certified to calibrate by the state seismographs happened to be the same company. And this engineering firm that the state had hired just to review what was happening discovered that the seismograph that this company was using for their own use was out of calibration. Since they're self-governing, nobody checks it. It was found out. It was ordered to be calibrated, and it was found out, in fact, it was out of calibration. So if it's out of calibration, plus or minus, the data is useless. So subsequent to that, the Miami-Dade pilot program law, or created it, enforced or created new regulations, how they can hire and whom they can hire to do their official monitoring. The company, name of the company, Geosonics is the name of the company that monitors the official monitoring. However, because of this conflict, they couldn't use their own company any longer. They then purchased Vibratech out of Atlanta, Georgia. And the qualifier Geosonics now qualifies the sub-company of Geosonics. Geosonics qualifies, what was I just said, the Vibratech. It's the same guy. So the reports are now coming out of Vibratech. And that I advised the state of this, and they said, because there's no law that says this is illegal or wrong, then it's fine. Yeah, but it's the same person. Yeah, and you change the name, change the color of a dog, it's still the same dog. But that the state is advised and they've addressed it. They can't deny it. So their equipment is monitoring, actively monitoring. Now, understand on the sine curve, wherever your placement is, if you're here and the sine curve happens to go low where your location is, you increase the distance to the machine and decrease the amount of intensity of impact that machine is going to record. It's by design. This is why the official seismograph is only one. So they're always in a location where the curve is going below the machine. By design, then, the pilot program has installed an array of machines. They can record that sine curve, and you will get a max and a min. And that is give you a true read, and that max it'll coincide with the complaints received, where you're asking about an area, that house that's next to that particular machine that got the highest reading, I assure you had felt it bad, and the next one, I didn't feel it that bad. This is why. So that's why the significance of the Miami-Dade pilot program. Now, the issue of the pilot program is that the CFO is aware of this fact and decides to ignore it because the official data is the one that the miners give them. So whatever is being reported that under their jurisdiction, it's their intent to ignore that fact. That's a problem. So I'm addressing that in the next paragraph. So please be advised, on October 20th, 2023 at 10:30 a.m., White Rock reported an occurrence, a blast, with a PPB value of 0.275 and 111 decibels, sound decibels. That's the air pressure. The Miami-Dade pilot program is not only to acquire data, it's also designed to monitor the official seismograph readings. The pilot program recorded a PP value of 0.7146. Understand the legal limit is 0.5. An air blast of 102 decibels. That's way below the legal limit of the decibels. The location of this occurrence is approximately 2,600 feet. That's less than a half a mile from the nearest residential development of $1 million homes. I'm including the source of information here. So I had an aerial photograph of Google Earth. This is directly south of Sunset Lakes, which is $1.5 million homes in West Miramar. Under the Florida statute 55230, the state fire marshal shall have sole and exclusive authority to adopt standards, limits, and regulations regarding the use of explosives used for the construction materials mining activities. That's a direct quote from the statute. That is to say, the CFO office is in charge. Among other things, the established PPB limit of 0.5 inches per second within UDB boundary. Although this incident occurs outside UDB, what answer would be given to the adjacent residential community? Please advise us the actions and repercussions the CFO office will take to this occurrence. I put them on the record. And we never got a response. Included in this email group is a resident, Adele Lavore, and is very active in reporting and emails. You've probably seen her, heard her.
Yeah.
You know her. And she writes a week later, any information on this PPV? So I reply, I'm still waiting on a response. Julie then replies on Wednesday, you'll have a response at the end of this week. Julie didn't respond. She ordered John Gatlin, the supervisor, to reply. Good morning. This email is the following up on the November 15th, 2023 meeting. Wasn't a meeting, it was an email I sent them. During which you requested clarification on data from September 21st blast. No, it was October 30th.
Yeah.
The Division of State Fire Marshal Division was contacted with a seismologist to place monitors across Miami-Dade County. The monitors were in place to monitor and report vibrations that result from the blast events associated with construction mining in Miami-Dade County. However, the enforcement actions are only based on readings from the monitor's position in accordance with the Florida Administrative Code. Specifically, Florida Administrative Code 69A states ground vibration must be measured for every blast at a location of the nearest building that is not owned, leased, or contracted by the blasting or mining operation, or on a property for which the owner has not provided a written waiver of blasting operations up to a maximum of 1 mile. The blast, which occurred on September 21st, was found to be in compliance with the Florida Administrative Code, which based on applicable monitoring data available. Variations in seismograph rates are generally normal occurrences due to environmental conditions. It's called the sine curve, not environmental conditions. That's another thing. The blast, which occurred on September 21st, occurred approximately 0.3 miles away from the seismograph place for regulatory compliance. In accordance with the Florida Administrative Code, the compliance seismograph registered a peak part blast reading of 0.22, which is in compliance parameters outlined in Florida Administrative Code, again, 69A. The second seismograph was placed approximately 0.48 miles from the blast location and not within the installation parameters of 69. The second seismograph registered a peak part velocity of 0.52, again, illegal. Please note, environmental variables such as geology, hydrology, tree roots, roads, etc., may affect the frequency and wavelength of a blast. Understand that those are all surface conditions. Size, they're blasting at 85 feet below ground. Tree roots don't go that deep. Nor do roadways. Due to these variables, it's not uncommon to get different readings at seismographs that are relatively close together. The division continuously monitors the readings provided by both dependent and independent and contracted seismologists and actively attempts to minimize discrepancies by valuing both the quantities and location of contracted seismographs.
So, but everything he spewed there is completely irrelevant because he's got the wrong date.
Okay.
So start over.
It's a whole lot of numbers.
Yeah.
But he's good at
So,
That's a good YFOS. You're full of, I'll leave it at that.
Oh, okay.
I'll leave it at that. Because we're in a slang society.
So needless to say, I was a bit livid
Yeah,
and
yes.
I said, I know Stephen has a way with words. That I'm quite impressed with to reply to this guy,
right.
because my choice words would not be.
YFOS.
Would not be proper.
That'll be mine,
Yeah, we can,
but I know.
we can work on a reply.
All right, so I put a motion to request for Stephen.
Yes.
Please advise.
Second.
All in favor?
Now, the question is, how, can I just send you my proposal and you?
And I'll reply, yeah, 'cause it's a whole group of, because he also voided everybody else in the email thread.
Yeah, you'll do it.
I would add them right back in, I hate when people do that.
It's,
Oh, yeah, I'd been right back in. I would add the people back in, at least add some people back in, like the
Because
representatives.
he's gotta be put on blast, that you're quoting the wrong date, I mean,
Councilman Garcia
Wrong
was
date.
on there, add those
Right.
people back in.
it's not a meeting, right, it was an email, so, I mean,
well, no, but emails work as well, because of sunshine, if they're all in the circle.
no, I'm saying he's referencing a meeting when it was. an email.
Oh, correct.
Yeah.
So my point is, what that's telling us is that he's not. I mean, it's public works.
Tells me a lot.
He's not looking at obviously what's going on.
All right, so yeah, I'll get you the response.
Okay.
Add it to my list.
We're gonna get Stephen more than
Yeah.
a
We need to
coaster.
And even in
You only got
the.
me for 8 more months.
Yeah, no, I'm trying, I got a milky here.
This is like a pregnancy.
Do you guys want to add anything to it before we go to the next item, because the other one's even better?
I defer to Stephen.
I told you my boss.
Yeah, I mean, I get what he's saying.
Keep it
He
quiet.
probably sat down with his legislative,
Yes.
aides.
Yes.
What's the best way to respond? What's my
Yes.
code?
Yes.
Right,
But, you know,
You
let's
can,
beat around the bush and not answer what he asked.
And it was a copy and paste job.
con, yeah, that's a can, that's a can job.
And when you're citing, look who we cited.
Right.
Right, administrative code is a copy and paste job.
got it. I'll send you a proposed response.
All right. All right, so we'll move on to the next item. All right, last week, last Monday, Mayor Cava, as Thomas Akala, advised, she gave a presentation of her findings. Now, previously, 6 months prior, she had a town hall meeting. Did you guys attend? Were you there? All right. She gave, it was basically to listen to the residents. I gave a presentation, and I provided information that hadn't been shown before, including a forensic engineer, structural engineer from the Philippines that I've been in communication with, that he's been, testing, I guess, his theories on the Surfside collapse. And I learned I had lessons from him, and I was able to provide him the backup information that he needed to quantify his hypothesis of why Surfside fell. In return, I asked for one, his report, and two, will you look at what we're dealing with, and including raw data of an energy wave here. Now, one of the equipment that he was waiting on, that he purchased for his study, his investigation, is called the shake table. The shake table is a laboratory piece of equipment that you put in the raw data of a measured energy wave, and it will recreate the actual movement of the energy wave. And in his hypothesis, again, that energy wave is undulating. So this action of going up, the Z force, is actually what he figured it in the construction, and that is, I think it's very important for all of us to understand, because construction is different where we live. I know you're an architect, so you understand, as opposed to Surfside on the shoreline. Anywhere that there is on the shore property where there's sand and soft soils, there's deep foundations. So the foundations are driven with piles. They're driven into the ground, 80 feet down, and they put a concrete cap, and that acts as a platform to build the building. That supports the structure. Where we live here, we don't have that type of construction. We have slab on grade or stem wall footings. 90% of them are slab on grade. So the house is just sitting as its own, like a box sitting on the ground. The reaction and response of these type of structures vary from the different types of constructions. That being said, it was uncovered that the adjacent building of Surfside, the pile driving the piles in for the building creates an energy wave. And I have a federal report that studies the energy produced from a pile driver, and each hammer blow of a pile drive generates 40,000 pounds of blow downward and 10,000 pounds of force lateral. So that 10,000 pounds of force went to the adjacent building. In the investigation of the report that I have, they had a train come in to bring the equipment in to make the study, and the train was sitting on the tracks, sitting there waiting for them to finish their investigation, and the weight of the train with the vibration caused the train tracks to deflect and bend. It's that much energy can be done. So what this engineer was advising, or his theory, is that Z force from the energy actually takes those columns and pushes them up. And when they come down, they strip the rebar from the reinforcement, the slab. So he created a small model of Surfside, a structural model of a column and floor slab, and tests on a shake table. And it proved positive, his theory. He then built a structural model of the entire building, put on the shake table, and he recreated the collapse of Surfside. And the slabs pancaked, they stacked down, cascaded down, and the columns remained, because the columns went up, stripped the rebar from its reinforcement of the slab, the connection, and the slabs then slid down with the columns remaining in position.
First year.
Huh?
That's year.
Right, so a punch here. So she's a retired architect, so.
No, I'm not retired. I'm still.
Oh, you're not retired, okay, still active.
No, I'm still
Architect.
active.
So it's called punch here. You'll see if you put a parking garage, you see a column that has at the base of the head of the column has a thickened edge head of the column. It's to withstand punch shear, and it's the forces that are pushing that slab above down on that column. So this is how Surfside collapsed and why. And it was although there were several conditions that contributed to it, but the primary thing was this force of the Z component, vertical component. So I said, well, what about us? So he put on his shake table energy wave from here, no model, he stimulated what we're experiencing, the actual energy wave. And I showed this to the college, presentation of college. It was very damning to show. So with that, Mayor Kawa then promised to get back to us, and she was going to investigate this and have the county investigate their findings, and she would present the findings. So what she provided for us last week was an unbiased, static presentation of the findings. It really wasn't an opinion. It wasn't a matter of who, what, where. It was just, this is what I was told. She was lied to, and I have the evidence, item by item, of what she has. I was also able to obtain, because it wasn't recorded or recorded video or audio, but I was able to obtain, somebody did videotape her presentation. So I was able to use that, and you're gonna see the notes that I took from the video. So it's in bold and italicized are her points. She had 9 points that she presented to us. And under it, bulleted, is my response to each.
You go, just, I don't know if you want to, depending on your thoughts on it, but do you wanna
give that to us, we can include it in the minutes. but,
Yeah, it's now, and Hope has it as well. It'll be, it's being.
It's an article on LinkedIn,
Okay.
so it's available to you.
All right, so it's coming up.
So let's just make, I would like to put it on our.
Okay.
Right.
I have it well formatted, so I'll send it to you.
That'd be great.
No, bro, just press.
So I want to read this into the record if you guys can humor me. This was disturbing for me to write. And Hope, I thank you for your patience because you were waiting on it, for it. But it's basically a letter to Hope, responding to her, and if you get into her email and the group she created, you'll see it. So I said, Hope, first and foremost, I want to thank you for your incessant follow-up and follow-through on the issues of our community. Second, I want to thank Abel Fernandez, hopefully he's watching online, for putting together the meetings with the Mayor Kava. The reality is, we need more people to become actively engaged. Our world is not for the armchair quarterbacks. So for you guys that are coming, thank you. This is what we need. Regarding Kava's presentation, I'm not surprised. The county has always taken a position not to interact with the issue. The stance continues. Specifically, I was taken aback by the misinformation the mayor has been given, as well as the level of misinformation. The information presented to Kava from Mayor Kava, multiple entities and agencies was false. I was able to obtain a video of the presentation. The sound quality was poor because of the audio system not working properly, but I have outlined her points and addressed individually herein. So one, the county water table. This is the first topic she asked, with Durham. Durham stated no issues on impacts on the water, and mine operators aren't required to monitor groundwater. Partially true, partially false. In fact, previously, explosives being used has been an ammonia nitrate emulsion called Amphro. The Miami-Dade Water Authority is aware of this fact. To detonate the emulsion, diesel fuel was utilized. A byproduct of this process is benzene and is discovered in Miami-Dade water and sewer in 2005 as a contaminant. That's our drinking water. This was very concerning to me as the neurological effects of benzene is parallel to autism. Fortunately, it did not make it into our drinking water supply. The saving grace is that benzene is less dense in water and highly volatile. If it were to be produced, it would float to the surface and evaporate prior to entering into our drinking supply. Because of this possibility of contamination, Miami-Dade County had previously imposed a 2-cent tax per ton extracted of lime rock to create a super fund if any contamination were to occur. After it was discovered the county had placed the monies collected into a general operating account, the county was forced to transfer the funds into an account controlled by the state. The money still exists, and at that time I was advised that it was $16 million. This money could be utilized to create a fund to repair our properties damaged by blasting.
You took it out of me.
After a massive investigation by Miami-Dade County, Durham, remember Durham said they don't know anything.
Right.
By Miami-Dade County federal judge, Judge Hoover, mandated a cease order of blasting due to this type of technique being utilized. The miners appealed the decision in federal court, appeals court in Atlanta and won. They brought in the Army Corps of Engineers to side with them, by the way. I was made aware the process has now replaced the diesel fuel with a combustible food-grade mineral oil. It is called Racilla X415. That's what detonates the aggregate. This does not pose a threat, and if it were to contaminate our drinking supply, these type of solutions is what we need to implement for us to coexist. Again, to reiterate, we're not here to shut the mining industry down. We're here to coexist, but we have to find a safe way to do so. After a massive, a point of the water issue, Biscayne Aquifer, is not so much of the contamination, but it's the conduit to carry the energy wave. Water is incompressible. This fact is the basis of the World War II technology. Submarines were fought against via very effective depth charges. The charges were sent to depths of approximately 33 feet with samples of 100 kilograms of explosive charge. Due to the density of the water, it would allow the shock wave from the explosion carried through the water until it made contact with an object. This is the foundation of the issue we're facing. So they exploded submarines and our depth charges that are in the shipping lanes. This is how it's done and why and how they're effective. So the second point, public infrastructure, no known issues, as she stated. She included public utilities, water and sewer department, the fire, highways and bridges, schools, and FDOT. And FDOT is covering the Florida Turnpike or bridges. This body has made it abundantly clear that it's been addressed multiple times through various communications. All of the above mentioned entities are aware of the issues. Recently, this Sunday, if you go down Miramar Parkway, 75 West, take a drive down there and you're gonna see all the telephone poles are leaning away from the mine. It's not a coincidence. FPL is addressing it. They're aware of it. So recently, Florida Power and Light were witnessed and it's confirmed they were addressing light poles along Miramar Parkway being affected by seismic energy wave. A gross number of poles can be seen leaning the opposite direction of the mine. Their foundations have become destabilized and are no longer vertical. But again, for those that remember physics, when you introduce an X or a Y component into a force, it now becomes exponential and can easily just fall. So that's why it's imperative that these poles are vertical. And if they lean a little bit, you introduce the other component of the XY force. So I have a photograph of a typical pole. Now, I question the first one I saw maybe a car hit it. No, it's so far back in the landscaping, a car couldn't reach it to begin with. It would hit the trees first. So the photographs included. The Miami Lakes Fire Station on 154 here in the Palmetto has logged the damages to their own station. The adjacent canal embankment's diminishing distance from the station is being recorded. Angelo went in, entered that station with a news crew. Subsequent to that, the fire chief said, no more, nobody's allowed in the station. It's a government building, you can't do that. A news crew was brought into the station to film it. The fire chief advised nobody is to enter the station thereafter, even though it's a public building. The county is currently repairing gas lines throughout PSN community. Numerous fractures of the lines are noted. You go through PSN, you'll see that they're ripping up the streets everywhere. Remember. Storm drainage is severely impacted. Catch basins are raising out of the ground through the effects that is being coined incremental liquefaction. So if you look up the term liquefaction, the difference with the standard definition of liquefaction is it's a gross amount of energy over a short period of time. It produces an effect. What we're witnessing is the same effect over time. So if you take that gross amount of energy and you're increment it, think of going up a ladder or steps. You can get to the top floor, either jump the steps or go one step at a time. We are going one step at a time. So we coined the phrase incremental liquefaction. The county, the storm drainage is severely impacted. Catch basins are raising out of the ground through the effects of what's being coined incremental liquefaction. Liquefaction is known phenomenon when energy is introduced to water saturated soils. So if you go on your street, look at your manholes, look at the catch basins, you'll see they're raising. It's not a coincidence, and it's tearing the asphalt. You can see the scar marks from it. Culvert along the side of 77th Avenue is failing. So this is the road that goes behind Cancun Grill up in towards PSN. Fencing securing 826 roadway is being jeopardized as the foundation of the fence posts are being exposed. Now again, Angelo had brought this awareness behind his house, and we brought news crews there and FDOT. The fence post and photograph, it's not in the ground anymore. The ball of concrete holding the post it's going to be in the air, in the embankment of the canal. I have pictures of that fence post about 6 months prior, I think it is, and you can see the embankment is about 2 feet past. So the fence posts are being jeopardized, exposed to the erosion of the canal embankment from seismic energy. This has been advised to FDOT, Miami-Dade County, the town of Miami Lakes directly. Subsequent to our notifying FDOT, they stabilized the intersection of 77 and 169 within their jurisdiction due to the traffic light located there. So if you go to the intersection, you're gonna see the embankment, they put lime rock against the canal embankment to stabilize it and to protect all the light posts and traffic lights there. But FDOT's jurisdiction is limited to 150 feet from any intersection where a traffic light is. That's their network. Beyond that, it's the municipalities. So going further down the road, you'll see these photographs from the culvert where the road crosses the canal. The culvert is failing. So if you get out of your car and go look on the other side of the guardrail, the culvert's leaning, I don't know, 15 degrees into the canal.
Cracked completely.
The bulkhead is cracked, and the rebar is what's holding it right now. So it's only a matter of time that will just roll in. You're also going to see Miami Lakes had gone through several repairs of the embankment on the Royal Oak side, and the company GeoWeb has the photograph of when they installed this erosion control system on their website, Geotechnical Web.
They're all empty. They're all empty.
Yeah, so not in their picture though.
No.
So if you look at their picture when they first installed it, it's beautiful. If you go there now, They're empty.
They're on.
They're being destroyed. It's not designed to hold seismic energy.
Shake it. It's rough.
So FDOT lied to the mayor. Because they're well aware of this. The school board. Regarding the school board, I have personally toured schools in the area and have witnessed firsthand seismic damage to the area schools. We met, with me was Cassia Cinco from the State Fire Marshal's office. She toured with me. They called me up, the school called me up, and she went with me and we went to the schools. They don't know what they're looking at. So I'm there, oh, it's just a concrete crack. No, if you look at a crack and it's opening and the formation of this crack, what creates it? It's not, settlement or deformation. It's not a construction defect. So she saw this firsthand. She's no longer with the CFO's office. She moved on, but did nothing after this meeting. We addressed her when we were in Tallahassee, and she said nothing. In the tours, damages were witnessed that have been cosmetically covered. So not to look bad to the parents, we were advised, they put little, what do you call it, caulking and paint, so you don't see the crack anymore. That's not a structural repair. That concerns me. So further, after being provided photographic evidence of damage at one of the state's largest elementary schools, the Miami Lakes Plastic Advisory Board invited the school board to attend a presentation. Understand that the school board has their own building department. They don't use the county's building department. So they have their own building official, their own plan review, and those subcontract architects submit to them, and that's how the schools get designed and approved. The school board reluctantly sent their building official. They didn't want to send him. He showed up. He sat in the back, and I asked him, please sit up forward. This presentation is for you. If you guys remember. He stated he was not aware of any issues in the schools. On May 16, 2022, the Miami-Dade County Teacher of the Year provided testimony at our presentation to the school board, along with photographs of damage she and her students witnessed from a blast at Spanish Lakes Elementary. So I included these photographs. Spanish Lakes Elementary, so you guys know, is one of the largest elementary schools by population in the state. It's a massive school. It's a beautiful, high-end, very modern school. They have glass baluster on their balcony, and it's shattered on a blast. And the teachers and the students witnessed it. It has Coca-Cola stained polished concrete floors, and the floors are cracked. Same, my office has polished concrete floors, and they look the same as this.
And you're not that old.
No,
School itself.
Spanish Lake's not that old. It's about the same age as our office building, as a matter of fact, about 15 years old now. Storm drainage is severely impacted. So water and sewer. Catch basins are rising out of the ground through the effects of liquefaction. Again, a known phenomenon which energy is introduced to water saturated soils. Many neighborhoods in the area are forced to address the local flooding due to the fact that the displacement of the drainage system can no longer properly move the rainwater. I know in Royal Oaks, they're redoing the drainage system of the streets. It's giving an issue that the houses that were built, understand when you build a house, your reference point is the crown of the road to build on. That crown of the road sets your standard of how high to build your house from, so that your house doesn't get flooded if a massive catastrophe were to form. Royal Oaks has raised their street level. So now their driveways are below the street, causing a step that they cannot take their cars out. I know Abel Fernandez, again, if you're watching, he had to install a new driveway to get he has a show car in the garage to get his car out of the driveway. So you can't tell me that water and sewer isn't aware of this. An investigation led by Professor at the University of Miami in conjunction with the Florida Atlantic University and University of South Florida is showing displacement of buildings at measurable distances. This is wreaking havoc on the properties, including broken water pipes, settlement, sinkholes, and structural disrepairs. The shifting of structures is significant enough to be seen via satellite imagery, interferometric synthetic aperture radar, INSAR it's called. And so you guys understand, INSAR was developed by NASA. So it uses satellite imagery installed by NASA, and it was intent to look at strata movement to predict where volcanic eruptions were going to happen. And these professors are now predicting where the lava ruptures and the lava flow occurs through the satellite imagery. So he was asked, the professor at UM was asked to look at our area. His interest was Surfside. Because the Surfside, they saw the building movement, he was asked to look at our area specifically. He sent an email again, I was mentioning earlier, to Mayor Sid and Mayor Messam. And it was the day that we were flying back from Tallahassee, and at the airport, Sid sends me an email. Look at the email I just sent you, reply to it, 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I'm at the airport, I looked at it, oh my God, it was this. I've then been in communication with this professor, and he presented here at Town Hall. He provides a video explaining the process of what this INSAR, how it works. So I put a link in the email of it. Item number 3, representative with the fire, they met with Representative Fire Marshal CMEX White Rock. On October 11th, they met with President of the White Rock and the Regional President of CMEX. On October 15th, they met with Joanne Rice, Director of Quarries at the State Fire Marshal. Okay. Item number 4, determine if White Rock and CMEX are blasting at higher limits. If the Fire Marshal, as Fire Marshal stated, they do not monitor specific companies, which is true. The State Fire Marshal does not monitor specific companies, they monitor all mining operations. Okay. B, White Rock is not blasting at higher levels, but other locations may have natural buffers. We were informed by John Gatlin that tree roots may be stopping an energy wave. The Miami-Dade pilot program run by the State Fire Marshal provides unbiased data of each blast across the county. On average, the data shows White Rock and CMEX are operating at higher levels than other operations. You can provide what you want, say what you want. Unbiased data says otherwise. And it's run by the governing body. Further, it is also noted other operations blast at such low levels, it does not exceed the minimum threshold to begin the recording of the seismograph. That is to say, they're undetectable. So there are mining operations that blast so low that the seismograph takes a minimum threshold to turn on and begin recording. They blast at a level that the seismograph doesn't even detect to begin recording. Keep that in mind for a topic that will come up. It's irrelevant if natural buffers exist or not. The source of the blast is what's in question, not the propagation of the energy wave it affects. The fire marshal have not reported violations since 2000. Okay, and mining operations, D, mining operations are to share good neighbor policies. Now, this is what the miners provided. 1, 5 companies are in operation. 2, operating hours are from 9 to 5. How nice. They have business hours. 3, they limit to 3 or 4 occurrences a week per user permit. So understand there's five mining operations. They could have 5 blasts in a day. In reality, we recorded 7 blasts in one day by one company. And the limit blasting levels to 0.5 ppb. That's the state rule. That's not good neighbor policy. To minimize to minimize the exposure to residents experience acknowledging the source of the damage, hours and days of operation are limited to work times. What a coincidence. However, this is no longer effective as the workforce community has evolved. In other words, we work from home. We're experiencing the stuff. 2, as an example of not following their self-imposed good neighbor policy on December 1st, 2023, 7 occurrences affected our area was recorded on private seismographs. I have a screenshot of the seismograph reading from that day. Blasting limit of 0.5 inches per second ppb is not part of the good neighbor policy, but is a mandate enforced by the CFO. However, the enforcement is only subject to exist within the urban development boundary. This energy wave produced is irrelevant to the imaginary boundary and continues past, thus significantly affecting neighboring properties. It is also recorded and reported by operations exceeding the 0.5 limit outside the EB multiple times, as we mentioned previously. On October 20th, the same message, 2023 at 10:30 a.m., White Rock reported an occurrence PV value of 0.275 and an 111 decibel sound decibels. The Miami-Dade pilot program is not only to require data, it's designed to monitor the official seismograph. The pilot program reported a PP value of 0.71 and an air blast of 102. The location of the occurrence is approximately 2,600 miles, feet, less than half a mile from the nearest residential development of $1 million homes. However, the location of the occurrence is outside EDB. I'm including a source of information here. She asked, can they lower the levels? Kava asked the miners. They said financial restraints. No. My reply to that, maximizing profits is always the driving force of any business. However, In no other business can collateral damage be disregarded. Worse off, the effects of this collateral damage is jeopardizing the safety of an entire sector of the state, us. 2, Bill 245, this is Fabrizio's bill, would be devastating to business. That's a subjective response from them. And it's false. This is proven by successful mining companies that are operating responsibly, as I just mentioned, the other companies are doing. Kava asked, we asked the fire marshal how to monitor. They stated no correlation between public complaints and levels of blasting. My response, this is false. It is known fact that the living beings are highly sensitive to air pressure. This air pressure is produced by the explosion of a blast. Typically, a stronger explosion produces a higher air pressure and more public complaints. It is directly proportional to the documented by Mayday pilot program. They're asking for complaints, we're giving it to them. They're not reading them. And as a point of fact, a military base in Virginia utilized their retired military tanks as targets for bombs. It produced such high air pressure from neighboring residential structures had their windows shattered. The military quickly addressed the matter, repaired the damages, and squelched this type of operation. There's nothing unknown in what we're experiencing. It's being avoided. So B, report for average. Kava's office asked of what's the average blast. Average blast is insignificant, it's irrelevant. And they stated they do not maintain their own records. Also false. How can they not maintain their own records? It's on their website.
I mean, I think that's more, they just don't want to put in the work. But Miguel, if I can, we're at H23.
Yeah,
So we can't go too much past 8:30.
no, I know.
That's why I want to put this in the record and make sure we have.
It'll be in the record, but I think, I'm asking, I'm gonna request that we table the last item. We're gonna have to have another meeting for that.
But I think that it was made abundantly clear tonight that we're on our own with this, right? If
Well,
you didn't
that's what I
have-
wanna get to my conclusion.
If you didn't know that before, you know it now. And I think that from a marketing perspective, now I'm gonna kind of segue from that to the comment I'm gonna make now. So in August, there's election, right? For mayor. Folks, we're on. The mayor gives. I'm gonna use another word, but they don't care. They don't care. And I think that at the end of the day, listen, you know, whether it's profits or elected office, they care about votes or money. And the reality is, if we don't kind of, in my humble opinion, shift our marketing to get people to say, you know what, we're gonna remember it when we go to vote, right? We're gonna remember. And I think our push has to be around that, because we can play nice until the cows come home. BS. This has to be an issue that, you know what, we get out there and we say, you know what, when you're up for election in August, we're gonna do everything in our goddamn power to ensure that you don't get reelected. Because the time for talk is over, and we have to do something around that. Because how much diplomacy can you have?
No, I'm
Years.
done, I'm done. And
You
that's,
took all my words away.
I mean, listen, I mean, the gentleman was, and again, he's the messenger, I'm not gonna kill the messenger. But she's telling you, she's taking this to the state level. Wipe my hands, I'm out of it, right? Because my thing is this, okay, so if you don't wanna do anything, that's fine. So then we should have one ask, fair enough, you don't wanna do anything. We have one ask in which you do have the power. Bring us to the table, us and the miners. That you can do,
but the miners don't agree, won't agree to it. They have to agree to it.
fair enough, but my point is for show intent.
Right, right.
Show intent, right? Because now at least you're sharing with me, right? That you're willing to go ahead, and although you're getting false information to your point, right? But you're showing that, you know what, okay, so I'm a third party, in this case, I'm an elected official. I don't know the science behind it potentially, but you know what, I'm willing to go ahead and, again, but I'm saying, drive this for us. On behalf of 400,000
I'm gonna go.
residents within Miami Dade, you know?
I had a conversation, Friday and Saturday even, and it was on TV, you didn't see it. And I'll give credit where credit is due, and I'm not doing this to be political. And let it be known, I'm not political. It's not a DNR game. But Manny Sid with Ed Peterman had meetings in Tallahassee the week of this meeting.
It was on the Instagram page where they said, we're up here, we're gonna specifically talk about blasting.
Right.
They specifically mentioned it.
A few things came out of that. And one of the things is that FDOT goes to the mining operations to certify they have to certify the aggregate that they're purchasing from. Now, he asked me, it's like, I never heard of this. I'm like, actually, it makes sense. And if you're aware, in the state of Florida, whatever we're gonna build with has to have product control items. All the materials we use, anything that's exposed to the elements outside. There's two types of product controls, Dade County product control and a state product control. Dade County is the only county in the country that has this entity that does it, and it has its own department with inspectors that travel the weekdays across the country, and they visit and inspect the manufacturing facilities, whatever product is being sold in Dade County with that product control number, to guarantee it's being manufactured as per the designed parameters. State does the same. So FDOT is doing this for the mining operations to guarantee that their product that they're purchasing meets their requirements. So Sid had requested, advised them, and I subsequently talked to Fabricio, and he said, I had that same conversation with FDOT, requesting FDOT, can you ask for aggregate that is only mined XYZ way? And XYZ way is Vulcan mine, and apparently Vulcan, this is why they're undetectable, and I don't understand the technology yet. I'm gonna get into it. But apparently they blast when they drill that when they blast, they drill a grid of holes, 85 feet, 80 feet depth. The water table is at low tide, at low season, 6 feet below the surface. So they're blasting directly in the aquifer. They fill it typically in stages, in sections. So they'll go put to the bottom. It looks like, they call it a condom. It's like a balloon where they fill it with the aggregate explosives, and it's in sometimes 2 or 3 layers worth with rock, and then another fill. They detonate all this at a timed explosion to maximize the effects of how this rock collapses and falls into the pit. The reality is Vulcan is using some sort of mechanism that the drilled holes, when they explode, counteract each other and kill each other's energy wave. So it doesn't travel outside the location of the blast.
That's being a good neighbor.
It's not detectable outside the mine, which is what we want. So theoretically, FDOT can say, we will only purchase aggregate done this way, period. That's our certification.
Great idea.
So this is the thinking out of the box that I thanked the mayor, advised me of this, and Peterman called me, I thanked as well. This is a fantastic idea. This is the creation and creativeness that we need. Well, guess what? The county can do the same. Because the county, all of us that have businesses or work in a company have a license to establish the business in a county. Broward County, how did they stop blasting? They don't grant a business license if you are going to extract lime rock with explosives. You don't get a license.
Well, no, I mean, Broward thing's a little different. Broward, correct, Broward doesn't allow that, but they didn't allow that prior to when the legislation that took away some
Correct.
power. That's why Broward, when you enact new legislation, you typically cannot oversee what's already occurred, sort of like
It's
this.
the grandfather did.
Right, correct.
However, there's a difference in between allowing to operate
Agreed,
and how you operate.
agreed.
So the state monitors or regulates how you operate. To operate is the municipality which you reside. And all of us that work for a company or own our own company are fully aware of this. That part of it's a business tax that you pay, and you get you
BTR.
something.
BTR.
Yeah, job. When you pay that, it engages a bunch of stuff at the county level, including the fire department to come and inspect your property that you're safe.
That's your CEO.
You're right, you're seed. There's certificate of use, but certificate of use is also other things, but all these things are the parameters of it. Miami Lakes, I was advised of a company here that creates a chemical, I don't remember what it was now. I don't remember, it was a soap, whatever, but they made part of the regulation to grant their operating license, business license, is that once a year, you have an audit to make sure you're operating safely. So the municipality enforces that. So they can simply enforce this at our neighbors, our friendly neighbors of the miners. So again, this is thinking out of the box, and this is easily done.
Yeah,
County will do it.
I mean, I was certainly disappointed by the response from the mayor, not necessarily just because of her, because she was lied to so much. But to you, I mean, we're not here to be political at all. And you certainly can't tell people, you know.
You can't be political, but you understand, but the hardcore reality is that you're gonna be.
Oh, I get it.
Absolutely.
I get
Because,
it.
I mean, my point is, you know, and I'm gonna coin my good friend over here, so the time for talk is over. How much diplomacy can you have on an issue when the number one financial commitment that you have, which is your home, continues to be destroyed? And we're talking nice and we're smiling with her.
In my
It's
case,
not
home and
gonna-
business.
Yeah, but my point is, nothing in the real world gets resolved like that.
Right.
In the real world, you know?
Listen, the county, I believe the county can do a lot more. We
Yeah.
spoke about that for a while.
But I think you gotta hit it where it hurts.
I think we that's
To affect any change in life, when you gotta hit people where it hurts, whether it's economic or voting or otherwise.
Right, I'm just saying, I don't believe we can all do what we want. Look at the campaign contributions. It's clear who I'm voting for mayor,
Right.
and it's not her.
That makes two of us.
That's public knowledge, don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is, as a board, it's not really necessarily something we can do.
Right, but my point is, I just think that we're gonna continue to be in the same position
Put more
12,
pressure points.
24, 36 months from
I
now.
know.
Right.
They don't wanna tire us out.
Because very clearly you have no local support. I mean, it's clear as day.
Right.
So now, right, you're trying to go ahead and geographically, right, have help from Tallahassee and obviously the burden of, so my point is, we're at a competitive disadvantage here and we gotta look for other means.
Agreed,
Because
which
this
is
not-
what the town, which is what, Mayor said and the manager did. We're thinking outside the box.
I would just be a lot more aggressive. I'm just being completely.
I agreed, and Stephen was witness to it, and I told Thomas Akala,
To the point of being crass, but.
you need to be more aggressive, or I won't be satisfied, and if I'm not satisfied, you're not gonna be happy.
Such as her department reports that, oh, there is no damage. See, we're looking for it.
They weren't looking,
They're not aware,
they don't
so-
know what they're looking
And
at.
we
Right.
need the people to be on board,
Yeah,
you know?
at the end of the day, and that's where it goes to you. You need the people to be alert, to be informed. And, that's how you get their attention. Which, I do thank the mayor for the 2 meetings she had. It's more than any.
Well, I don't thank her because nothing was done. It was a bunch of BS.
No, but no,
Well, because again, at the end of the day, what's the conclusion? The conclusion is where prior to these meetings, we kind of had an inclination that this is what we were gonna be.
correct.
And our inclination was proven right because again, we had no support.
But in fairness, we don't know what's gonna what's gonna come out of this now. So I thank her for what she's done up to date. I wanna know what's gonna happen next, because it's not gonna be the end of it. And if it's the end of this for her here, totally different animal.
But what in the past has given you any reason to think that it's gonna be any change going forward?
I don't have any,
That's my point.
right, well, no, so, but at least they've done this, they've never done before.
Well, we know that we're not gonna take buses to Tallahassee, okay? Let's take buses to Miami-Dade County.
Which is the last.
Okay, so
I mean,
that's
Get to
something.
the last point. Get to the last point. I think it's the most important thing. to discuss.
So I have requested from Senator Renee Garcia.
Huh?
I've requested from Senator Renee Garcia to be placed on the agenda for the county to present to them it was the same presentation I gave to Kala. To show the what's happening. They finally replied to me, asking when do you want to go? Now, Renee Garcia has proposed a resolution to put on the agenda, for Dade County to support Fabricio's bill. Now, this is what's critical. That language in that resolution has to say, not just support them, because that's just words, but that the county issue the lobbyists to go to Tallahassee and fight for this, as we did. That's a whole different animal. And if that's the case, Stephen had told, Tomas, if this is the case, then the lobbyists come here and get an education, because as anybody else, they don't know what they're looking at. So they're gonna go to Tallahassee and walk around blind. That's worthless.
So,
The blind leading the blind.
well, again, and I just want to be as fair as possible, unfortunately. It's just one of the. If that happens, which it should, that's pretty big, because that puts Miami-Dade,
You're absolutely right.
assuming it happens and it's done properly. It puts the Miami-Dade County lobbying force behind this, if they want to actually do it, and if they show up, and they get educated by us and show their true intent in trying to push the bill. Because right now, we are the lobbying team.
Right.
People need to understand, this is the
Correct. It's the
lobbying
lobbying
team
team. Correct.
for Representative Fabricio. Nobody else is pushing this.
We were the ones that were knocking on the
Not
doors.
around, not here, Miami-Dade County. If we can get Miami-Dade County to help us, that's a win. I, most of her points I wasn't happy with, because it seemed like it was more, I've been told this, I've been told lies, maybe she wasn't aware of the lies. Or my departments don't know anything about it, even though they do, because you've met with many of them before.
We
But,
presented to them, and that, by the way, I reiterate, these gifts are nothing compared to what, the appreciation I have for what this body has done. And it's not that we talked to them, we actually had presentations with them, they were here. You can't give us excuses. That's over.
but assuming that, and I think that's pressure from us on Senator Garcia as well, because we've
Absolutely.
been asking him for a very long time to do something like this, so.
Absolutely.
Assuming it goes the right way, there is a win out of this, an immediate win. I agree with you, though, we have to hold their feet to the fire,
You do.
and we have to continue to discuss talk about
And
it.
we have to have, I just think, certain deliverables by a certain date, because I mean, how long are we gonna continue to prolong this? I get it, I get it, it's government, and I get it, it's a slow walk, but again.
Enough.
Right, and again, you know.
But the bottom line is gonna be, come November, we will remember.
August,
There you go.
August,
That's right.
August,
or November, it's really complicated.
but November sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, that's something, I know we gotta probably wrap it up, but that's something I think we all should have in mind is for the next meeting. You know, I don't know when's the last time we actually issued an updated advisory to the council.
Well, that we haven't done it, that's.
Easy.
That's
We
the
did it last
plan,
year.
that's the plan to do now.
That's what I'm now.
Well, no, the
Yeah.
presentation, but I mean a formal, this is what the Miami Lakes Blasting Advisory
This is
Board
what we've done.
suggests, no, not what we've done,
No.
suggest the town do, take these
Ah,
actions.
Right, that's been a while.
I would,
Yes.
I would like to, I think we should all think about what you
Yeah.
believe the town should do with their resources and their money, because that's the only people we can tell. I mean, not tell, ask.
Right.
So that leads
do.
into the last point.
Right, I think the last point is very important.
It's very important, and that's why I say we have to table it to, you know, have that
Oh,
special call meeting for
That point.
exactly that.
Right.
Because we need time to prepare that.
Yeah, but then there's limits on
Yeah,
that.
so,
Right.
and I'll send this via email to all committees, including you guys, but, reminder that you guys had requested to be put on the January council meeting as well as the March one. The
Correct.
January agenda deadline is this Wednesday, December 20th.
Oh. Why is it so, isn't it usually 7 days?
Because you're talking about the holiday season and all.
Yeah, but statutorily it's 7 days, isn't it? Or even, not even less. I know you guys have your.
We
internal
have,
deadline.
yeah, we have committee deadlines and that's the date. I can-
There's no
Special
way.
call tomorrow.
Okay, I motion to allow you to, I think a presentation of what we've done, and you can write that up,
Right.
and I'm gonna be
Write that
there,
down.
I think we should all, whoever can make it. can
Yeah,
make
I'll
it.
be here.
I think for us to present, like, this is what the town should do, maybe it's something we wait for February to see if the bill gets any momentum. Because I do think our advisory position changes if. they-
But we're not allowed to present to the council.
No, but a reminder, so there's a schedule, you guys agreed January, March, however, the only other, I guess, leeway to move dates, as the manager mentioned, is if a committee is willing to give up their spot, maybe they don't have anything important, and they're willing to give it to you guys, as was done before, I think last, in the last couple of months, that can be done as well.
Well,
You'd still, then you would adhere to that deadline.
or a councilman, a council member puts us on the agenda. But, no, but March is actually good timing to present, this is our formal.
Yeah, I mean, we will know.
Right,
everything
we'll
that-
know
that's
everything
right.
that happens. What I'm saying is, I trust you, I'll make a motion for you to prepare what needs to be submitted to Lyle for the January presentation, what's going on, updates, etc. But then for us to discuss and think about in
I'm gonna take over the
January,
meeting.
for the January meeting is, we should start forming a formal, this is the 2024 advisory opinion, basically. And maybe present that in March. It's gonna be a lot, it could take some work, a few meetings, but I think-
My intent,
Last week.
original
2024.
intent for January was a status of where we're at.
right, exactly, that's exactly what, that's what I think is appropriate.
Okay.
I
so
think we're on the
not-
same
not-
page.
Okay,
No, we're on the same
The
page.
report card.
Right, so I mean, I'll motion to allow you to prepare and present the report to the town council.
All right.
I second.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then just, you know, just a thought is to start thinking about a formal thing that we can do in March. We just gotta be on our toes in January and February, which leads me to the January meeting right now is scheduled for a federal holiday. Do we have an additional date?
I will work with you, because I have to figure out where we can place you guys. And that's gonna be
January
January and February. He's talking about
Yeah.
your blossom meeting.
The
Oh.
Atlanta holidays.
The council meeting, I guess for the record, is January 16th.
Right.
Yeah, but we'll have to work on changing January and February blossom. Because they're all holidays.
January 16th, that's, I'm a little taken aback by this deadline of Wednesday, especially since we're not even in January yet.
The deadline is because we're going into holiday dates.
No, I understand that, but.
And there's a
after
lot of
holidays-
people that will not be here.
But after the holidays are over, January 1st, we're out of holidays and we're still in the window of presenting.
Well, usually that's to adhere for that extra week. You guys are usually, I believe it's 10 days out, is 10 business days out is when the agenda items are due. I have to go back and double check, but they're adding to that, the cushion holidays. That's why it's lengthier.
There's no
than-
report, is my point.
Well, these are the dates I was given, that's all I can report.
Like school's off the first week of January.
No, I
Why?
understand
Why?
that,
But there's no time for us to do it. Like, I literally don't have enough time to do it. I may have to get creative. Yeah, like that.
But I know those are just my thoughts, but if you want, I don't know if you want to finish up regarding that last point, because we discussed it pretty much.
I was, yeah, well, my conclusion of this, I'll just read the conclusion. Conclusion, the county does have the legal responsibility to protect its constituents and fiduciary responsibility to protect its assets. These are being destroyed as our own private assets as well. The safety and well-being of our properties provided is being jeopardized. The science is not unknown, but it is being ignored. Our structures are physically moving measurable distances, as granted by the professor of the University of Miami. They are debonding, a phenomenon known in the industry, and the insurance crisis deepening due to the claims. The constitutionality and the legal standing of our rights are questionable at best. Dereliction of duties being witnessed at multiple levels of government, and it's unfortunate that our elected are reactive instead of proactive. In this case, an avoidable catastrophic event is imminent. The county could take a position of a lawsuit to file an injunction against the state and the industry until an alternative and safer means of extraction is found. At this juncture, with no support, we're being left with no alternative to bring in the federal government.
We'll bring
I would
in
just,
whoever we need to.
Well, remember, when we're talking about political office, remember that there is one elected official that can end all this stroke of a pen. Which is the CFO.
Yeah, trust.
So, I don't know.
No,
That's
you need to
another
go back,
issue as well.
you need to go back and we'll revisit him again.
But I mean, that
He's deciding
statewide
not to.
office, there's only so much pressure to put on statewide office, but that's
I
another.
think it's gotta come from above down instead of up, from below.
Yeah, I wish we could figure out a way to pressure him into doing something. He doesn't have no.
When's your next family reunion?
Yeah, exactly. And that, I mean, he could do it in a pen, but stroke of a pen, no more blasting. It's not gonna happen, but, I mean, that's the power he has, not no more blasting, right? We don't want no more blasting, but he could lower the level with a few phone
Or
calls.
even the technique. If you
Technique,
can
right.
emulate the other company's technique, we're done.
It might cost 2.5 cents extra a pound, so,
You know, it's gonna hurt your ego, is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um,
that's where we're at.
so,
Something has to happen.
And that's why I think it's important that we all think about, what we think is a way to proceed, because at the end of the day, we all have to vote on providing that type of opinion. And we all have different ideas and thoughts.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's something to start thinking about now, so we can actually get it in pen and paper
Yeah.
over the next few meetings. And I guess we'll probably have to have a few action.
And we need to get videos so people start to. People need
And
to.
that's
yeah,
where you
that's
get, you know, social media outside the board, that's where you get some more political pressure on everybody. Nobody despair. Doesn't matter,
So-
it doesn't matter who you are.
One of the biggest takeaways from everything we've said is that it all goes back to, we need more than just 5, 6 people on this board, however many we are now, I lost count, 7.
And
Because-
she did mention that, Kava.
Right, right, she's big on, community involvement and stuff like that, and as someone who used to work in her office, I really understand her way of doing things. She is like anyone, she is gonna do that, she's gonna say she's gonna try to assist, but if there's gray area where it falls out of her responsibility, why would she take responsibility for something that's not entirely her job to do? So we coming together as a community, all helping each other, further the message, increase engagement, and get more of a community buy-in will all lead to better results, right? No matter what is your strength on this board and as a resident, everybody putting in a piece to this puzzle will make a difference eventually.
Basically, what I have to do is get a couple thousand hot dogs and a couple thousand boxes of Coca-Cola and have a picnic somewhere so we can talk
Yeah.
about this. I don't know what it's gonna, what we need to do. We got all these neighbors.
What do you think, having hot dogs and Coke?
I don't know how we.
I don't know the idea.
We should be filling out halls. I don't get it. It's your houses.
That's what, every time there's a meeting, there should be hundreds of people
The
here.
amount of people that responded to me for this meeting today.
Did anybody watch Fabricia's interview on Saturday? At some point, they actually asked Fabricio, and Fabricio said that the problem in Tallahassee comes from the fact that the people that are here understand the issues that we're going through. But when it goes to everyone else, they think that if they change anything that we do, they will increase the cost for the other representatives. There's 120 of them. I don't necessarily understand Tallahassee well, but I think that they all vote on a bill that's gonna make it through. And if they do not know, now, what I have done in the last few weeks, is I write to every single one of them. That's what I'm Google jail. 120 of them, so I write to 120 of them, and I have tried to connect with each one of them, for them to see the world the way we see it. So I think that when you go to Tallahassee and you meet with Fabricio, that all sounds well and good, but he's the one that knows. How about meeting with everyone that doesn't know?
That's what we do.
So, well,
We specifically we asked not to meet with Fabricio, because I talked to him seriously.
Exactly, we don't need to.
We say hello to him, we went to his office, don't get me wrong. But it's like, no, we don't wanna meet with the ones that are here in Miami, we don't wanna meet with them, we can see them here,
right.
everybody else.
And it's a job, Stephen, with the whole subcommittee and making sure that we spoke with everyone that was. My subcommittee.
And I don't mean to be disrespectful in the slightest, but it's been 20 years listening to blasting problems. No matter what we do in November, and no matter who we do it with in November, whether it was Cindy Polo and then no, because Fabricio will get it done. Fabricio has been put that bill through 3 years in a row, and he is good. He is dedicated, and still it's not heard. It actually dies on the first night.
Yeah.
So something is wrong with this picture, and it has nothing to do with who do we vote for. Something is wrong with this picture.
Still in committee, yeah.
But Daniela
I just-
Lenicava,
Yeah,
took the
no, no.
time to come and meet with us. She's the first time I see a public official that wrote a list of things, and to my surprise, she goes over and meets with everyone and brings an answer on everything. And the answer, everyone in the room was snickering and go, what the hell is she saying? They told her this, they told her that, and at some point, Abel Fernandez says, you're gonna have to go back and meet with them again because they lied to you. And my ball went up, and I got up and I said, excuse me, and what are the consequences?
Right.
Because if they lie to you and you're a public official, and the highest public official in Miami-Dade County, then how is that possible? Because if I lie to you, you're gonna put me in jail.
Yeah,
So
but
how come somebody can lie to you in the department or whatever, the chief of fire? What is going on? And then I looked at Fabricio and I go, what is the Florida statute that would actually force them to tell her the truth? And they all went, the room got silent as usual, and boom. So something is not right, and I'm not sure how to correct it, but I'll get there.
I think we're at the point of fracture on this, and something's gonna give. Something's gonna pop.
Yeah, we gotta continue the political pressure on.
And it's really, it doesn't matter whether the bird has a right wing or a left wing, we gotta get it done.
They just wanna get us tired.
Huh?
They want
Yeah.
us
They want it, they've
Yeah.
been trying,
Yep.
they wanna wear us out.
Or,
But you know what, if you're looking,
Much of them-
you're not gonna tire us out.
or we go outside the box, doesn't matter what wing you have, no way, it doesn't matter, go outside the box. You gotta, you just gotta think of everything possible.
And they got a lot of them.
I'm out of breath.
Motion to adjourn.